So let's take a look at our team project. There are two documents under team project guidelines. There is a lengthy description, and here's a shorter checklist version. So what we'll be doing with your team, you'll be studying the marketing strategy of one specific company. The main goal, the main objective of this project is to give you opportunity to apply theoretical concepts we learn in class to like a real world situation. You have two deliverables for this project. One is formal report, 9-10 pages long report on their marketing. But then you'll have to present it to the class. Instead of like test final exam, we will have oral presentation where each team will present their findings. For presentation, you can use slide text based on your report, or you can go without slide text, just tell us a story. This is a research-based assignment. And doing research means that you will need to dig into primary information, primary sources. These sources that you'll need to find and use, and I'll show where to find them today, at least some of them, includes company quarterly or annual reporting, like 10K forms, industry databases, and industry reports. You can use some media, like business media, like Wall Street Journal or Economist reporting on the company and their Adweek, some marketing publications reporting on the company actions. So all the sources of information you're using in your team project should be cited like this. Author and date of publication, and included in the reference section at the end of your document, at the end of your report. A reference in your sources performs two functions. First, it directs the responsibility away from you. If the information, something in the report looks strange or like unbelievable or unrealistic or something, or just weird, we can be sure that it's not, you didn't make it up. That comes from these reputable sources, these industry analysts or journalists or company itself, right? So we point out where this data, where these numbers come from. And second, it decreases the similarity weight on your Turnitin similarity report, because all the reports will come through Turnitin and will be checked, compared against the databases of all student works ever submitted to any institutions in the United States and abroad. This is why you basically cannot use Google for this project, because whenever you Google something like marketing strategy of company Apple, what you're going to see, like the first 10 pages of Google results will be works submitted by other students to other institutions. There are two downsides. First of all, half of it is just not very good quality. And the second downside is if you use it and copy paste it into your report, Turnitin will see it, and you're gonna get in trouble due to like academic integrity violations and all this stuff. We don't want that. So all the like student work databases such as like mbaschool.org or marketing 101 edu with all the coursework, it ain't gonna help. It ain't gonna do anything good. You use company information, industry analysis, and reputable business media. Don't use some random stuff from random websites. What should be included in your report? First, start from company description. What is this company? What do they do? What business they're in? This company provides retail banking services. This company manufactures and sells apparel and athleisure items. Something like that. And look at their financial performance. Top line revenue, bottom line profit, and growth rate. Aggregated annual growth rate. Are they growing their business? That is good. That means they are successful and we have a reason to study why. Are they falling or stagnating? That's interesting. We have a reason to study why. Then we compare them to the industry, to their competitors. If they're communications company, okay, and their business is stagnating, we look at the communications company industry and see, okay, this company is stagnating, but their industry is growing. That means they're losing their competition. Let's start digging why. So we need to compare company we study to alternative, to similar companies in the industry. Are they, what is their market share? Are they bigger or smaller than other companies? And how are they growing? Good source for studying, for finding information about different industries would be a database called IBIS World. I'll show you several databases that we can use for this project. Most of them are included in this guide posted under Team Project tab called Library, Databases, and Resources. And the primary thing that we're gonna use for this project is include databases from Cal State East Bay Library. Great thing about the student is that as students, you have free access to all the paid databases, including, for example, Statista. When you search for any business information, you probably encounter this, like you're seeing a little snapshot from Statista, and then they ask you to pay for full access. Now you don't have to pay. You get full free access through Cal State East Bay Library. All the financial databases like Bloomberg and MorningStar that traders use to trade stocks on equity markets. You have all the full information to all financial markets through Cal State East Bay Library. Okay, so you go to Cal State East Bay Library website, and you see there are link to databases, which called databases A to Z on library website. And when you click on it, it lists all the databases by default sorted by alphabet, but you can use it by subject, look specifically for marketing or financial databases. The one I suggest to start industry analysis, comparing company to the industry, is IBIS World. Starting from I. Yep. Here, got a login. You can log in using your Cal State East Bay credentials, Turns out, yeah, I'm already logging. And here you can start looking. For example, if I want to study one of the communication providers, one of the mobile operators. For example, I just type the company name. Right. I see pop-ups of all the reports available on the subject, and one of them seems to be what I'm looking for: wireless communications in the US. Let's take a look at them. I start from industry at a glance. It gives me information about the industry size. So wireless telecom in the United States is a 300 billion industry. And it gives me an information about the growth rate. We see that this industry is growing very, very slowly, like 2% per year. It's mature business. Everyone who needed a smartphone already has one. There are no new customers anywhere on the horizon. So it's very hard to grow in this industry. It's growing about 2% a year. All right. And it also gives us some information about factors driving this industry. Per capita disposable income. People need money to spend on all these new fancy iPhones. That's what drives this industry. Typical profit margin in this industry is around 13%. And if there is a competitive landscape, no major companies. So the major companies in this industry include, we can see Verizon with a market share of 20%, AT&T with a market share of 17%, and Deutsche Telekom. From IBIS database, for any industry you study, you look at their industry at a glance and major company competitive landscape. It gives you some ideas about what's happening to this industry, where it's moving. After introducing the company and industry, look at their value proposition. Essentially, with the last class, we discussed what value proposition is. What is good? What is special about their offer? Why anyone would buy from them? What needs their product serve? What problems they solve? And if anyone refused to use their services or buy their products, what would they buy instead? After value proposition, we're going to talk about their customers. And specifically, we will focus on segmentation and targeting. And these are the topics we will be working on the next 2 weeks. Target market. Look at their customers. Who is buying their product? Or who should be buying their product? That's not an easy question to answer, like not at all. One good way to approach the analysis of the target market is using Mintel databases. I have a link posted right here, Mintel Consumer Reports. And we also have access to Mintel Consumer Reports through library databases. Go back and find in library databases, we have Mintel. And in these Mintel databases, you can check any industry or specific company as well. If I start searching for Verizon, what they can offer me. Some news. I want reports, like consumer data, right? Consumer data for what? technology and media. Okay, mobile network providers in the United States. The newest one is from March 22. But you also have for free huge database. Looking for smartphone users in the United States. Telecommunications. Okay, let's say to look in this one. What we know about smartphone users from Statista, what we can learn. This information can be helpful if we search researching telecom companies or smartphone manufacturers like Apple. Up the target market, discussing their customers and who is using their services and why. And there might be more than one type of customer. There could be 2 or 3 types of customers buying their services. We'll need to describe them, maybe even give them names. Then we talk about their competition. Who are their competitors? How are their competitors different or similar to the company we're studying? And we'll need to talk about positioning. Draw a positioning matrix similar to what Steve Jobs demonstrated with this Business School 101 matrix. We'll talk about positioning in the next 2 weeks as well. And complete the first strategic section with SWOT analysis. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats for this company based on what we just learned about their customers, about their competitors, and about their market environment. Market environment we studied the last week. Customers and competitors constitute microenvironment, immediate environment, but also got to think about macro environmental factors. Demography. Is there going to be more or less customers for them in the future? If we're talking about kindergartens or like toy manufacturers, well, birth rates in the United States are very low. So there are going to be less and less kids around. Future doesn't look so bright for toy companies. But if we're talking about healthcare providers or pharma, there are going to be more and more elderly people. They live longer and they need a lot of healthcare and pharma. So these companies are doing just good. Got to look into demographic trends and analyze what does it mean for this specific company. Economic factors, just like demographic affects how many customers are there, economy affects how much money these customers are willing to spare. Factors such as inflation, which we're currently experiencing, economic growth or downturn, unemployment rates, salary growth rates, and labor market. How does it affect this specific company? And other macro factors such as availability of natural resources, new developments in technology, or political and regulatory changes. Okay, so microenvironment including customers and competitors, and macro environment including all of these. Notice that not all of these factors should be included in your analysis. If there is nothing to say about political factors for this company, maybe they are not affected by any like policy or regulatory changes. Okay, there is nothing to say about policies, then leave it alone. Don't include it. if they are not affected by natural resources availability and climate change, then there is nothing to say about natural resources. Include only those factors that are really important for their business. One way to find such factors is looking into risk section in their financial reports, in the 10K form. 10K form typically includes management discussion section. And this management discussion always includes risks. Some of these risks are like very generic. They apply to every company on earth. It typically starts from something like our company is under risk of losing competition, losing market share in our customers, and which will result in declining revenue. That is true about every single company on planet Earth. In a competitive market, the risk applies to everyone. But there will be specific risks applicable only to this specific company. So when you discuss macro and micro environment and conducted SWOT analysis, you got to dig in and narrow down on the marketing strategies on 4 P's. You'll need to choose one single product of this company. Like if Apple is making like hundreds of devices or types of devices, you will need to narrow down on one of them. If you decided to study Disney, which has Disney Plus, cruises, theme parks, and all, pick one product and analyze it in full detail.
How about a one product company, like a company that only provides one product or service?
Absolutely. That's the best choice and the easiest one.
Okay. So like a service like a company like, I don't know, Airbnb, for example, which provides a certain service that's only very specific.
I'll check. I believe I put Airbnb on stop list, but we'll check. But
Okay.
that's a good example. Get one company and study it in full detail. And if they make one product or one service, like last semester, guys studied this pest control company. I don't remember the company name, but that's an excellent example. What they do pest control at residential and commercial buildings. So they have 2 customer segments, residential and commercial segment, but they have just one service they provide. You'll need to describe their product and brand. And look, we will study each of these P's throughout the semester. We will spend a week on product analysis, on place, price, and promotion. Place is essentially a synonymous to distribution here. How do they sell their product? Do they sell it directly to customers through their website? Or do they sell it through intermediaries, like through supermarkets, through retail, or through, if it's an automotive company, chances are they sell it through dealerships. So place is analysis of how do they sell and deliver their product. How does their delivery work? Then we'll need to look at their prices. Create a pricing table to compare their price to their competitor's price. Why? Or is their product more expensive or less expensive than their competitors, and why?
Quick question. So if it's like an international company, could we just pick like one country that they do the stuff in, or would we have to?
Absolutely, United States.
Okay. Cool.
Global companies are hard. In the last semesters, I had guys studying like companies like Toyota or Nissan, which are Japanese global companies with only a little share of their cars sold in the United States. So global companies are hard. So if you want to pick one American one, that's good. If you're studying a global company, narrow down on the United States. Students love picking some fancy hot companies like EV manufacturers like NIO and so on. And there we need to look at their market. Like NIO doesn't sell their cars in the United States at all. Zero. It's Chinese companies and they only sell their vehicles in China. So if you decide to study them, you got to understand that it's Chinese market. And after the price, look at their promotion. How do they advertise their product? Where do they advertise? What's their message in their ads? What their commercials are telling their customers? And how do they serve it? How much visitors their website have, and we will learn how to study that. How much followers they have on social media compared to their competitors, and so on. These on promotions and pricing and place and product, this part, chances are nothing of it you will able to find like ready-made answers. For this part, you'll need to do your own research, dig in into it. And end up with their recommendations. What do you think this company should do? So we have their SWOT analysis, high level strengths, threats, and opportunities. And here we have their actual situation. What are they doing now? How should they choose based on your analysis? Not like out from the blue sky, but based on these two things. What should they do? What should they change? Should they launch a new product? Should they change their price? Maybe increase it or decrease it. Or maybe they should launch a new commercial to reach a new customer segment. Based on your analysis, give them a recommendation. So that's here's a rubric for team project with expected length of each part and points assigned to it. Company and value proposition, just like half page each. Target market, competition, and environmental analysis, like spend a page on it. And 4 big pieces of market. They analyze their product, place, price, and promotion, and come up with recommendations. Finally, I add some points for formatting and citations. Formatting means using appropriate headers so that I could understand what part of your paper I'm reading at every single point of time. To keeps clear structure. Controlling for the length of this project. Keep it down to 10 pages, not including pictures. Of course, pictures, graphs, diagrams, infographics, they add, but I can look at them. I don't need to read them for that long. The main limitation here is my attention span, because we have 10 or 12 teams in the class, and I will need to read all of these reports. You gotta help me out. So that's guidelines for team project. Real fast.
Hey, Professor, are we going to get a chance to meet with our teammates today?
Yep, will do.
All right.
uploaded the correct guidelines there. So where we start from company selection. By the end of this week, you'll need to contact your team and talk about companies you want to study. There are one big criteria for selection. You come up with 3 companies, a list of 3. And for each of these 3 companies, you list specific product that you want to study. For example, we want to study Disney theme parks, or we want to study Six Flags adventure park. Specific product. Check their website and check if you can find information about this company, because this is the most important part. It should be easy for you. You shouldn't spend like hours doing research, finding sources. It should be easily available. To this end, I require that these companies be publicly traded companies. The reason why? Because there is this much information about this company.
How
If
about
it's-
companies? Sorry, go
Yeah,
ahead.
if it's privately held small restaurants on the outskirts of Sacramento, California, there won't be anything to find about it.
How about companies that are not publicly traded, but are like governmental companies, let's say BART, the Bay Area Rapid Transit. It's not a publicly traded company, but it is a service that has numerous information online.
Yeah, it's a monopoly. They don't have any. They pretty much don't have any competition.
Right.
So they don't have. They basically they don't have any marketing.
ACE trains do. I mean, they're I mean, okay. So publicly traded companies basically is what
It's pretty much similar to like PGE or any other monopolies. Some of them are even publicly traded, right? Like PGE is publicly traded, but still it's monopoly. Let's not dig into like government services. BART is interesting. I actually like the idea, but it kind of distorts the idea of consumer market, because it's not a competitive market. And I have a little stop list here in company proposal guidelines, the companies that I don't want you to study. For two reasons. It can be either too hard and too different. Just like all the IT companies, poor like IT, like Google, Facebook, or PayPal, great companies, but their internal business processes, economy, and value creation is very different. We are not there yet to study this complicated. So get some real life. It can be technology assisted, I don't know, like Zillow or eBay, but still not pure IT. And another reason, there are companies just that have been overstudied recently. That's like throughout pandemic, I had like dozens of student teams studying Clorox, Ecolab, all the disinfection products, and Peloton. Like everyone was talking about them and everyone was studying these companies in the last years. There's just not much new to say. So get creative, look at the companies you're using, look at the brands you adore and use every day, and decide if you want to study them.
So you're pretty much sick of Tesla reports.
Yep. I had a lot of Tesla reports in the last semesters, and just last semester I had student teams working on Toyota and Ford. It was funny because imagine we have two teams explaining that their company and their product is superior, and both teams were working on SUV products, on SUV cars for Toyota and Ford. We had like real life competition in class.
What was it? Very similar information or very different?
The value proposition was quite different, and the product was different, but the price at all. Yep. So good places to start on our Cal State East Bay Library website, sources like Statista, Mintel Market Report, IBIS World, and even financial ones. To look at the company financial performance, got to look at some, say, on MorningStar investment research. MorningStar is basically a stock research, but it gives much more information about the companies. For example, if I was looking into one of my favorite ones, my recent favorite, American Eagle Outfitter. It starts from financial performance, from stock market performance, what the stock is doing. That's what most like day traders use. But to study their marketing, you got to dig deeper into research and find, and there will somewhere there will be their latest the latest transcripts of their conference calls and their 10K reports. Just don't confuse share price with market share. Remember our last week when we discussed market share, the percentage of total sales on the market? Ooh,